My name is Lawrie from Copenhagen Sexology School, and I'm sitting here with Matt Schwenteck from Somatic Eros. Hello, Matt.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you for interviewing me about this specific topic that I love so much about sexuality and edging.
Absolutely. And as I'm getting to know you more and more, it seems like for me, this is a niche. Within the realm of sexuality, there are so many ways one can go and explore. And this is something that I think very few of my acquaintances know about. And you have so much knowledge personally, and also you've done so much research within the years. So, first of all, what is edging?
Mm. Um, it's a really good question. I was just outside on a walk, and I was considering this last experience that I had last night on full moon, and mostly what people experience and explore, this is what I do or did in the past as well, is when we're getting horny, we're just like, whoa, we're touching ourselves. And then on one point, we just go to this goal. We have this agenda or the intention to go and having a climax, an orgasm, and then, yeah, and then it's over. And in French, it calls le petit moi, the little death.
Mhm.
And I was considering how to explain that. Just imagine you go without having the agenda towards the goal. And before you explode on the edge where climax would happening, you stop and just relax into the sensation of the orgasmic ignition. So it just starts to build up, and then you relax, and then all of a sudden you just relax into this state of orgasm instead of having an orgasm. So you become orgasmic, and instead of the little death, the petit moi, you just actually dive into le grand moi, so the big death.
Yeah.
And edging is literally you hang out in this area where you literally have the highest amount of arousal and horniness in your body,
Mhm.
and but you don't poke through on the other side where the explosion goes into the release. So you hang out in this short little window. If you never have done that, of arousal, horniness, and sensation in your body. And the way how I can explain that on a neurological, emotional level the best is, in the nervous system, it is the dorsal parasympathetic nervous system, literally where we die through one day, last breath, last heartbeat, we defecate, and then we have the last orgasm because all the tension that is released is, and then we die, we're dead.
Mm.
And this is what we hijack in edging. You just go on a neurological level into this realm of, this is how it would feel when you die, and there's nothing to be afraid of, because death in its essence is orgasmic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and instead of kind of poking through, you relax into the expansion of becoming orgasmic instead of having an orgasm. And the art is, you just ride the waves, you edge on this very short little experience where you normally come.
Yeah.
But here you hang out, you relax, and you train your nervous system on an emotional level. You train your physical body, you train your mental awareness, just being 100% present. And this is what literally edging is. You get really extremely horny and you play there, you relax there, expand there.
And you go into an orgastic state and you become orgasmic. I
Yeah.
understand. I was just explaining to some, not explaining, sharing with someone the other day that I see, like, I want to say there's a difference between sex and eroticism for me. So sex is the normal paradigm where it's from A to B. So there's a start, there's a middle, and there's an ending. And you kind of, not you, but people kind of know what to expect because there is these there's a direction with it and an intention of going somewhere, which is very often to have some sort of exploration with one another and have a peak and then just that was it. And as I was telling them it's to me it's all about energy. And so you have these several phases where the foreplay, the arousal phase, you build up all the energy in the body. And then there had the sexual exchange in itself, whatever it is, however sex looks like for these. It doesn't have to be penetration, it could be oral sex, could be a kiss, could be whatever. But you have the exchange with someone else or yourself, but someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And then um there's this intense pleasure, the accumulation of the energy that becomes explosive into an explosion, which what we call the orgasm, and then you have the ejaculation of energy shooting out of the body, and then people become tired, yeah. So as I was telling, what if we first of all skip this from A to B? So to me, eroticism is the no agenda, no goal, no nothing. We have no idea what we're getting ourselves into. It's a mystery and it keeps on changing and evolving. And if there's an orgasm, sweet. If there's not, sweet. But it's out of the context. No, not in the out of the, what's the word? There's a word for it. Equation. So here's my question to you. There's been done so much research about orgasms, and not just the release of dopamine and all these sweet hormones, but it's 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 healthy for our bodies with orgasms, isn't it? Or not? Tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, so I try to say it that way, orgasm is super healthy.
Yeah.
And I had recently a call where I was talking about edging, and then somebody said, just like, I just tried it. It's so hard
Mhm.
because most of the time the body is kind of trained over, you know, decades into the contraction, the climax. And specifically for men, we have kind of learned and trained ourselves to maintain and get an erection and maintain the erection, and then intensify our ejaculation. That we just learn to squeeze our PC muscle and just want to get it out. So there's so much tension stored in the pelvic area
Mhm.
that when we're going even intentionally towards this place of orgasm or edging, I want to say, so that most men don't have the capacity, they can't conduct that energy because the body is trained, and the cellular structure based on the reward circuit in the brain is just used to, well, A means B, or and B means O, like orgasm. And there is no choice because it just goes so fast.
Yeah.
And so this person asked, it's just like, I feel, shame and guilt when I climax then. So I just want to do edging, but every time I come, and then I just feel bad and wrong about what I'm doing. And I said, you know, this is what's happening in most of us based on our sexuality. We are conditioned somehow to make it fast, hidden in the dark, quick reproduction. This is all what we know. So we just only know sex as reproductive energy, and we have not learned anything else. We don't know what there is. And the really thing opens up, specifically for women when you hang out in this realm of multi-orgasmic experiences for minimum for half an hour. But, guys, they are done after 7, 8 minutes max.
Yeah.
And it's as well that most men have trained themselves into releasing quick pornography. That's like the visual stimuli constantly activated. And all what they know around orgasm is it ends with an ejaculation.
Yeah.
This is so kind of hardwired in the system that when they actually want to go away of that, they judge themselves, make themselves wrong. They think they're failures.
Yeah.
And what I said is just like, no, orgasm is great. Just love it. And when you do it consciously, you just celebrate it. Just do it. Yeah. And when you start learning edging, you will fall down the horse. You will fall down the cliff. This is just the nature of it because your body is wired from you over, 20 years or longer. And that needs a retraining. And that retraining is absolutely worth to investigate in. It's absolutely worth to get the belief patterns out of the mind, to get the body structure, the contraction released, and having this sexual expansion slowly kind of erasing, no, not erasing is the wrong word, expanding in the body, coming in, learning about it. And yeah, orgasm is great. But there's a new way of, instead of having them becoming orgasmic, that's a difference.
I understand that. I saw one of your videos where you talked about why it was important to be so fast with, I want to say, reproducing instead of lovemaking, because there's a very big difference when we are biologically wired to that. You want to touch upon that? Because I kept smiling for those 6 minutes you talked about. I was like, what? Oh, yes, we are still so biologically wired for this.
Yeah, this is, most men don't know that. We are actually wired to survive, and reproduction, so sex based on the uh, uh, procreative agenda, or it's not even agenda, it's a hardwiring in the nervous system.
Mm.
And this hardwiring in the nervous system, as long we're actually living a life on survive, it's just like we have to do it fast, we have to get over it. And most men using their sexual energy as a release of their stress in their body. Specifically then when they make love, they're actually ejaculating this stress vibration into the woman's body, but they do literally the same as if they are on survive when they have sex in reproduction. So the nervous system is hardwired that way since, hundreds or thousands of years, that we have to, when we fuck, we have to make it fast because we are getting vulnerable. We becoming prey. We can be killed and eaten quick. And we men, we are hardwired that way when we do that. So the woman has to go into that state of surrender, This is the hardwiring, in of the mammal. The female is letting it happen, and the guy is going in action. But in the moment when you actually do the sexual act, you are vulnerable. You can be killed. There are predator around. This is a weak spot in your protection. Yeah, so you need to get it quick done, that you then can go back to hunting and whatever you do, or collecting stuff. And most people living their sexuality as if they're still living, in a survival mammal behavior, without knowing that, well, there is a spiritual component to that.
Yeah.
And there's a healthy component to that, actually, to cultivate that. And there's a lot of fun and joy and playfulness into that you all leave on the table. You miss out on all this stuff if your sexuality is survival driven on procreation. Just like, yes, this is it, and this is the release, and that's the story. And
Okay.
then I ask men, when I work with men, every time you ejaculate, or every time you come, if you do it intentionally or not, do you want to procreate and make a baby every time when you ejaculate? No. Then the question is, why are you doing it? And, well, I don't know anything else. That's all I have. That's my freedom, liberation of choice of sexuality, without knowing that the capacity of becoming orgasmic and the reward that comes back, not the satisfactory reward of release when you climax and ejaculate. I mean the reward of connection, spiritual expansion, unity, oneness, love, all the sensations in the body. You just actually vibrate on this higher frequency as long as you choose. And this is far beyond any survival sex, but this comes with a price, because you have to do some work on yourself.
Absolutely. So oh God, this leads to so many questions. One is, I love how you say, so after 4 minutes, the woman is surrendering and the man is in action. I don't know any women who can surrender in 4 minutes, but they try, or they honestly, I speak to a lot of people where they go like, they endure because they don't get into arousal within 5 or 6 minutes. They don't even go there. And very often I talk to women who lack the desire of sex or a sexual encounter. And it's not that they don't have that or they lack this desire. It's a symbol of or a symptom of I don't like it how it is right now. I need it to be different because yeah, you have all this action, but there's no real intimacy. So what they really lack is that true connection and that intimacy. And then you touch upon spirituality. Will you tell me more about that?
Mm.
This as a spiritual practice.
Yeah, edging is a spiritual practice, is a meditation, is a prayer, you know, and it's, you know, imagine you are a spiritual person and you have your own religion and you just, you know, doesn't matter what your religion is, and you're going doing worship to the divine, just like, are you running into the temple and then just like, and then out? No, you just actually take your time. You're going internal. You actually experience present moment and some magic that is beyond that what you know in your rational linear thinking mind. You actually discover something that is a higher dimension towards your sexuality. So when you do this edging practice as a prayer, as a meditation, you create all this neurotransmitter in the body. You know, you said that already: dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, melatonin. You name it. There's a lot of research around that. What I really like about that, and this is what very little people know, that you need to be, in the three pillars of tantras, sound, breath, and movement. You just actually need to inhale that you get enough melatonin into your system, because melatonin is a very important part of your DMT release. And then when you exhale, you just give sound, and you let your body move. You get fluid with your sensations. So the three parts, when they are in place and you just be for half an hour in your impulses, in your erotic fluency, you create in your pineal gland here somewhere in your head DMT, dimethyltryptamine. And this is well researched, that there is, behind the pineal gland, there is a little, like a chamber where the cerebrospinal fluid is in. So this is the fluid where the brain is swimming in. Yeah. And this goes down your entire spine, and it's 250 milliliters, something like that. And it just takes over a day 4 times. And so it gets absorbed from the body and flushed through the entire system. And there is a little eine Faser in German. The English word is like a thin line, thinner than a spider line or silk, that is producing stem cells.
Yeah.
And just imagine your stem cells, they are fully produced in the high vibration of your cerebrospinal fluid being flooded with DMT that is being released in your pineal gland. Your entire system becomes radiant and vibrant.
Yeah.
So the spiritual practice of that is, and many people have experience in that, is behind the pineal gland and the chamber, there's a so-called pituitary gland.
Yes.
And that's responsible for your visual experience. So you start, when you look into your partner's eyes in lovemaking, you see all of a sudden, whoa, what is that? The shape shifting is going on. The
Yes.
face is changing. All of a sudden, it's a complete different person. You look 10 years younger or then 50 years older, and then you just see lifetimes. You have just like, whoa. So DMT is this spiritual molecule that is being released in the highest forms when we are born and when we die.
Yeah.
And so there is this book from Rick Strassman, The Spiritual Molecule, and he has just one little paragraph where he said, because he has taken DMT and then sending people on journeys with DMT. But he said that in the realm of Tantra, through breath, sound, and movement, Tantra practitioners have the capacity to access DMT on a natural way. And this opening up, so many people who have this experience of shape shifting and different experiences, they can say, oh my God, it's just like I had an awakening. Yes, so because this guides you into a spiritual realm.
Yeah. And our bodies can be so ecstatic. Yes, we have it all within us to reach that level. Oh, there's so many ways I want to go here. So one thing is you talked about looking into each other's eyes. There are many people I speak to, whether it's being clients or just speak, because I speak a lot about sex and sexuality,
Mm-hmm.
is either they have so much body shame, they make love with the lights off.
Mm-hmm.
So they cannot see into each other's eyes, or they go so much into themselves and their own pleasure that they keep closing their eyes. And for me personally, the connection with the eyes is paramount. It is so important because I really feel the connection here. So if I was having a partner that would close their eyes a bit, I feel very much disconnected, left out. And where I'd be like, hey, look, let's look. And the transfiguration ongoing that you just talked about, the shape shifting is amazing. It's like I see into your soul and everything around you just keeps on changing. All the ones you used to be, or whatever we can say, it's just an experience, but what an intense experience. Mm. Okay, so Matt, I want to touch about the sound, breath, and movement. Also, um, there are lots of couples who have children, and many of us, we grow up with being very quiet when we self-cultivate. So maybe we start to masturbate when we are, I don't know, 10, 11, whatever age. I was 12. I remember the day very vividly. But anyway, I was 12 and I was very quiet because I didn't want my mom to come in the door. So through my teens, I learned to be very quiet. And then some couples, not me, but some couples, they move away from home and then they're quiet because they don't want the neighbors to find out. And then they get kids and then they don't want the kids to barge in. And then they're quiet throughout, you know, all their sexuality through life. And I'm trying to tell them by keeping quiet, there's so much pleasure we are not going into the depths of. The pleasure can be enhanced so much with that sound, breath, and movement. And it's just for many people, for a lot of men, you cannot even hear if they're enjoying this. Is this pleasurable for you? Because they're just quiet. What's your take on that with the sound if we go there?
Mm. Um, yeah, it's a great thing. I was actually 11 when I started masturbating, and I guess many people have their own experience. And I
Mm.
remember when I found out and I had an orgasm the first time, just like, wow, and I was hooked from this day on, and I can remember this first time, just like as if
Yeah.
it was yesterday. And I was 15 when ejaculation came on top of that, and then I felt just like, no, I'm a man, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I have done the same, hidden, going quick in the bathroom, having this, short, quick release, and uh, like an addiction, just like 3, 4 times a day, literally. And we train ourselves to make it hidden because it is so conditioned through shame. And there is this saying around Christianity or the religion of church in Western society. When you control somebody else's sexuality, you control their life, and this is the entire story of you know the church over thousands of years have literally created marriage and family compounds, inheriting land, and it's so shame and guilt driven about sexuality. Is nowhere written what's possible. So it's just always, you just create more little followers, sheeps. And the conditioning goes so deep about expressing ourselves and our shame and guilt, uh, that we actually don't know it, because it's like the fish swimming in water doesn't know what water is. So shame and guilt through sexuality is not natural in our body. It's conditioned in. It doesn't belong there. It's just a physical sensation that we have the inherited story put upon, because our parents, and so on have the same conditioning and wrong making about sexuality. Make it in the dark, make it quick, make it fast, and off you go. So the sound is one of the most important pieces, because the exhale of sound, just like when you actually, sound and breath combined, you just inhale. And I use so-called straw breath because it
Mm.
just gives a deeper experience of breath.
Yeah.
And when I exhale, ah, ah, so when I'm in my sound, you can hear where I am.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or my partner can hear where I am. When my partner is giving the sound, I can hear where they are. And this is where the neurological feedback loop of with another
Mm.
is missing out if you don't give the sound, because you're afraid your neighbor hear it, your children hear it, somebody else can hear it. But then so what? We are so used to listen to people fighting and throwing anger and all this projections on each other, and that's okay, but it's not okay to hear people making love. So sound is really important, and people who have children and people who are afraid of exposing their sexuality to them, well, this is where your children from. They are from your lovemaking, and you can't tell that your child is not produced by sex and is not being wanted in the moment of perception because it was desired. It's a spiritual moment where a soul chooses to come into the body. Why not celebrating it through lovemaking and going to this place of surrender to it, and just like challenging the conditioning. And I would recommend to all couples who have this as a problem, then at least once a month, have a quality time that you're not disturbed. It's not for the goal of making it quick or fast. It's just allow yourself to celebrate your eros and give it sound, and just find this discomfort that keeps you away from expressing it. And there's so much freedom and liberation. Use your sound as much as you possibly can because it's good.
Yes, thank you for that. Touching upon shame and sexual shame. Couldn't agree more. So there are people like you and me and many on our path who we do what we can to help people liberate all the shame that they carry. And I'm very much into family constellations. As you just touch upon it yourself, this goes back generations. It's in our DNA. And I also noticed that some of the things about the movements. So lots of women, when I talk to them, they're not free in their bodies because they have sexual shame with the bodies, the way they look, or the way they feel, or maybe they've been watching a lot of porn and they have an imprint of how things should look like. And they don't look like that themselves, or B, they start to move like the porn star does, and they call this, I'm very sexual. Oh, this is sexual, is it? Well, real sexual doesn't look like this. It doesn't have this expression. I mean, it's it's very easy to see when something is performance. I mean, the this is just, people have whatever expression they have. I just hear them hold back so much, or if they do express very often, it's something that they're picked up and seen and interpret as this is how I'm supposed to look, and so it doesn't even come from within. For me, it's like a spark. The sexuality and sensuality is a spark that comes from within, a movement that turns into something else, while Eros is rushing through the body. It becomes more and more alive with sound, with the movement. Um, but just releasing all the shame people have around the movements itself, how they look. I'm thinking in your line of work, you must have experienced a lot of this too. Can you touch upon that, please?
Oh yeah, totally. It's a great question. You know, um, I'm yeah, I developed this somatic consent engagement system, right?
Mhm.
And it's based on the 3-minute game. And the 3-minute game has this very um, dynamic in place that is universal for all human beings. And the four different dynamics is: I am in action for my benefit, you are in action for your benefit, I am in action for your benefit, and you are in action for my benefit. Yeah, within our limits, of course.
Mm.
So when I said in action, there's either me being in action or you are in action.
Mm.
And either it's for me or it's for you.
Yeah.
But let's take just the action out of the equation just for a moment. So I am in action, yeah. And my hand is moving, my body is moving, and is this movement happening for me, or is that movement happening for you?
Mm.
And these are just the two ways, yeah. But it can be as well for me and for you,
Yeah.
yeah. Or it can be not for you and not for me either. Yeah, so there are different equations in there, but the main thing is when you see it from that perspective, that when it comes to this action and movement, there is another parameter that I start to use, and I call that inside, outside, and upside down.
Tell me
Yeah.
more.
So the inside is everything from your neck downwards that's in your body. So while you sit there, you feel your back on the chair, you feel your arms on the lean, you feel your belly, you feel maybe if you need to pee, or you feel your feet on the ground. So you're just getting a lot of information from the inside. Yeah.
Mm.
And the inside is it's obvious. Yeah. And without creating a story around it, just like there are just impulses, there are just different signals going into your brain.
Mm.
This is the inside world. So everything that is not the inside world is outside.
Yeah.
For example, me talking, seeing everything, your chair, your room, the window, outside. So everything that is outside, that is not inside. So the two distinction, obviously. Yeah. And then everything that is not inside and that is not outside is a story. It's called upside down.
Mm.
So we're creating a story constantly on the outside and the inside. And then we think we are right and it's true. But most of the time, the story has nothing to do with what's going on the inside. But most of the time, the impulses of action coming from the story that we have been conditioned with about how we have to be. So the shoulds, yeah.
Yeah.
And the shoulds are conditionings from the outside, from education, from upbringing, from parents, from society, from watching, the pop cultures and all that kind of stuff, how we have to move, watching porn. So we're getting all this conditioning from the outside, creating the should story. And then we creating movement that makes us look like.
Yeah.
But it's not the impulse anymore. So what I teach in this entire realm is you have to detect the internal impulses of your inside. When and how do you want to move independent from what the story is or what the outside tells you? And you actually get back into what I call the low level of numbness. You actually find the early impulses of your body. What's you want to do? What is that your impulses are? Just like whatever it is, and you just trust your inside world, and that trust is hard work to learn. Yeah. Because we have to just like wipe all that dust from the conditioning from the outside and our rational thinking story, our upside down looping of what we should or have to or duty, getting out of the way. And this is a lifelong process. So following our own impulses, either for myself or for you.
Yeah.
Not from a place of should, but from a place of love and care, from empathy, compassion with another, from an interpersonal connection.
Yeah, that's sweet and important. When I hear you say this, what comes to me is also like porn and porn addiction. What starts off as self-cultivation, like an inside feeling, or how does it feel in my body when I touch myself here? externalizing to me watching other people either doing to themselves or others. So it becomes an experience outside of our own bodies. Obviously, we look through our eyes and we have our perception, and we, translate what we see, and maybe we touch ourselves at the same time, and we return this link into pleasure. But some people are so addicted to that, it's difficult to coming back to just self-pleasuring without the porn, because we have this very strong link that this is needed or required. Yeah. All right. And Matt, there's so many things that you are offering because you've been doing this work for such a long time. And you are coming to Copenhagen next week. Yeah.
Yes, I'm coming on the 13th and I will be there till the 17th.
Yes. So if there's anyone that would like to work with sexual shame or deconditioning, or what is it that you offer if somebody wants to reach out to you?
I kind of offer a very broad variety of sexual empowerment.
Mm.
And I've developed a so-called 6-step program when it comes to touch and empowerment, because I have worked with many people who are carrying sexual trauma and abuse in their body.
Yeah.
And when it comes to intimate work or intimate connection, they think they have to allow everything that is happening without having a choice. Yeah, so the first thing that I do in the first step is showing people that they have a choice, and that the choice comes from the inside impulses. So in the first step of touch, I put my hand somewhere on the body where the person tells me to put my hand. Yeah. And if there is no request to put my hand somewhere on the body, wherever that is, I'm not touching anything. So that people really feel, okay, their impulses, where and how they want to be touched, matters and is the most important equation in this dynamic. And then I touch only for 10 seconds, and then I remove my hand, and then the person waits for minimum 20 seconds to ask for the next touch. And most of the time in the first step, when people have sexual trauma without knowing it, they override the inner impulse to say, I don't want to be touched at all.
Yeah.
Don't touch me. Specifically people with severe sexual trauma, that they need to say that in the face of their, emotional expression. Don't touch me. I don't want to be touched. Till they recognize actually they want to be touched, but in a specific way. And then when I touch the body, I just make sure that I do exactly what the person asks. And then I ask in this 10 seconds, like you make an internal handshake. So when you put your hand somewhere on your body, you feel that with your hand, but you feel as well this body part feeling the hand. And you do like an internal handshake of this touch. And you have the capacity to tell me to move the hand away at any time. Yeah. But in this 10 seconds, you make the handshake and allow your body internal to feel, to sense. And then instead of going into the upside down, what you should ask next for, you let your internal impulses come up, where and how you want to have the next touch. And this is just the first step. And from there, I just build up into finding the flow, allowing the person to find their own permission to receive through their own action. And this is profound. Just like people just like, well, I can touch you and have pleasure. Yes, I'm available being touched in certain ways. As long you have the sensory inflow that I'm showing people open, that you can make the choices that you want to have about the touch that you want to do. So all this kind of said, this is partly work of it. I have done as well the armoring work. I show men and women and couples how to edge. I show them how to dive deeper in their own experience. I'm a ritual play facilitator. There's so many stuff that I can do as long people want to get free and liberated in their sexuality.
Yeah, we're definitely on the same path. And so where can people read more about this? Will you make sure that you insert a link so it's easy for them to read more about you?
Yeah, I have two different web pages. One is Somatic Consent. Yeah,
Mm.
so where I provide this body of work about touch communication in a more non-sexual way.
Yeah.
And the second one is Somatic Eros,
Mm.
where I do more the hands-on sexual work as a sexual body worker, as a sexual educator, that I show people on a sexual level everything that they want to learn. And pretty much depends on where people are, what they want to explore. It's just like, look here or look there, because they're both different offerings of my work.
Absolutely. But you make sure to insert that.
I will do.
Thank you. All right. Do you have comments or whatever is needed to be shared as well before we end this session?
Yes. So it's exactly 30 years ago. I was 27 when I started my journey.
Aha.
And this is 30 years of self exploration. And I have taken every stone that I could find around. What I want to say is it doesn't matter where people are, they are never too old.
Mm.
Their body shape is never too much. It doesn't matter what you believe, whatever you experienced in your life, there is a way to live your sexuality free if you want that. And the first step of all loves is love yourself and practice loving yourself.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for adding that as well.
And thank you for having me. It's always an honor to talk about sexuality. It's one of my favorite topics.
Oh, I agree. Absolutely. That's why we work with it. And that's why it's not just a lifestyle, but it's our purpose, you know.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Matt. Thank
Thanks
you.
for
Thank
having
you.
me.
All
Bye.
right.
Ciao.
Ciao.